a zakat that is given can really, really transform and change lives as well.
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
our first guest joining us on the sofa today is the very talented Rizwan Yusuf, Director of the Leader Investment Programme at the National Zakat Foundation. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah. National Zakat Foundation, a wonderful organisation. I've heard lots about it as well. Can you give us a brief synopsis of what the organisation is about, please?
Yeah, sure. I think we've been going for about 8 years now. National Zakat Foundation, it really began because we understood that whilst there's a lot, the Muslim community is really generous. It gives a lot of zakat, it gives a lot of zakat around the world, but there didn't seem to be anything for Muslims in the UK. There was a particular situation about 8 years ago where there was a new Muslim sister who was going from house to house looking for support, and she found herself in such a dire situation, and brothers and sisters around her realized that actually we've got loads of charities in the UK, mashallah, amazing work goes on. We don't really have anyone or any organisation that really supports Muslims in the UK. So we wanted this, wanted to set something up, and that's what NZF is really about. Alhamdulillah, it's been 9 years now, and we've now supported over.
Wow, it's been 8 years.
Exactly, I know. Quick, I know. But in that short time, we've managed to distribute over £10 million, 10,000 people we've supported, Muslims in the UK. And alhamdulillah, it's been an amazing, blessing that we've been able to kind of do that.
So did you say £10 million?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, wow.
At the moment we kind of distribute around that sort of £4 million a year. But yeah, the thing is that demand that we've seen right from the beginning has increased year on year. Yeah. I was looking at some stats the other day, and I think just in the first half of this year we've received about 3,500 applications from people. These are just Muslims, just like you and I, going about the business, but they don't have enough to live, basically. So alhamdulillah, the demand increases, and we're trying to do our best to kind of plug that gap.
I mean, that's an interesting fact. You said over the 8 years that you've helped over 10,000 people. Okay, so if we break down, it's about 1,200 a year. It's about 100 people a year.
Sure.
25 people that are changing lives through people giving their zakat, which is an obligation,
Sure.
it's a duty that they have to give as well, but giving it in the UK as well. Now, mashallah, I know Brother Zain, alhamdulillah, has been really, really active in the community as well, and obviously you've now working with Zakat Foundation. Why was this so appealing to you? Because most of us are now programmed to give zakat abroad, right? Number one, why? Because unfortunately price handles, it's really cheap as well, okay? That you think that destitute and the poor people always live abroad as well, but they don't really, do they?
No, I mean, one of the clip that you just showed to your audiences just a few minutes ago is actually a reenaction of a real story. It's not just a case study that's been kind of made up. It's genuinely a real life story, and it brings to mind the case of an individual, a sister who actually went through that. And so why it was really appealing to me, and why zakat in the UK is appealing to me, is because I'm not hit 30 yet. Right? It might look like I have, right? But I've not hit 30 yet.
Not 30 yet.
Yet, right?
Done really well then. Reminded us of our age.
But what it shows me is that the future is the young people. And for us, it's the future of Islam in the UK is in the young Muslims. And so we need to ensure that we invest enough here in this country, and zakat allows us that opportunity to do that. Because think about it this way, right? Some of the earliest adopters of Islam, if you look back in history, were those who were quite wealthy, who were able to think about conceptual ideas such as salah, zakat, and other things, because they didn't have to worry about their food on their plate. They didn't have to worry about how they're going to feed their children. And so the real scenario is that if we don't invest zakat here in the UK and we continue to only give abroad, imagine maybe in 10, 15 years what would happen, right? We will shift from being people who can help those around us to actually being in need ourselves. And neither will we be able to help others or ourselves. And that's a really serious consideration that we need to make.
I'm really intrigued by the clip that we just saw there about the young lady, subhanAllah. Can you tell us the process of how you actually support people like her?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, sure. What happens?
So, alhamdulillah, there's a really great team at the National Zakat Foundation, which, of course, people apply through an application process. There's lots of due diligence because there's importance, because it's zakat. There's due diligence system. and then essentially this team of caseworkers and program officers will look at each individual based on their needs. And sometimes those needs will be something so simple, such as saying, actually, you know what, I need to pay for some food, right? It's literally present, something right now I need. It might be something actually, well, I've become homeless because of domestic violence or something else, and I now need to rebuild my life, trying to think about the next few weeks or few months. And so they'll go through that system, and usually, inshallah, you know, we are working hard towards being able to support a Muslim within as little as like 1 to 2, 3 weeks, right? Of course, that's hard because, you know, when you have, like Brother Rizwan's things, when you have, you know, 3,500 applications in the first, you know, 6 months of the year, that's a lot to deal with, right? And it's not like, we don't see it slowing down. And so, you know, alhamdulillah, the caseworkers will look at each case individually and inshallah look to see how best they can support with not just zakat, but actually trying to empower these individuals further as well.
Rizwan, with people obviously looking in and watching the show as well, why is it important to give zakat here? If you're living here, why is it important to give zakat here in the UK?
That's a really good question. Look, firstly, just the theological side of it, just to put that aside, the 4 schools of thought, all prioritize zakat locally. So there's something about that, and that's something we know from, you know, even from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, that you know, he made a clear sort of direction that zakat should be collected from a community and given back to the poor, you know, or given back to that community. But in the UK, sometimes we forget, you know, that poverty looks really different in the UK than it does abroad. We've got this thing in our mind that poverty is just man who kind of sits in a corner, has got no disheveled clothes and so on. Actually, in the UK, poverty is the bro that you see in salah next to you in the mosque. You know, he's standing next to you, he gives you a salam, he smiles at you, but you know he's going through huge suffering because you know we know that in a time of austerity that there's difficulties. But what's really interesting I found is that actually, you know, there's no surprise that most refugees and asylum seekers in the UK are Muslim. It's about 80% of all.
Wow.
Yeah, roughly about
80%.
Roughly, it's around that sort of number. And so, what's interesting is that they make it here after going through, you know, a massive long journey of hell and managed to get here. And then the Muslim community isn't quite really set up to support them. So they'll find themselves going to, you know, government, to churches, to wherever they need to go to kind of make ends meet. But we haven't quite caught up. So we're still giving our zakat abroad to refugees in refugee camps. But the refugees that are already here, we haven't quite got the system there. So what, you know, these are, and just generally speaking, I think, you know, Muslims as a faith group in the UK, they are comparatively poorer economically, and education attainment is actually lower than all of the other kind of religious groups. So we find ourselves in a situation where, alhamdulillah, you know, we're growing in strength. The Muslim communities in the UK are slowly coming together, but what we really need to see is that kind of unity, that kind of giving back to your own community. And as our young brother here has mentioned,
young brother.
has mentioned,
very young brother.
you know, people of our generations, if you like, are really recognizing that home is here now. You know, the UK is here. I mean, we don't. Yes, back home is wherever we are, Pakistan, India, wherever you want to be. But actually, home is just London, is Bradford. It's wherever you've been brought up, where you're born. And so we're recognizing. I think people are recognizing. Actually, we need to invest in our own communities as well. And no one's saying we shouldn't give abroad. Of course, we should. You know, there's people need at all times, but there's something special about giving. And there's something interesting about the whole notion of charity begins at home. Yeah. We need to remember that, and that's not an Islamic thing. That's just a thing. You know, that we need to look after people that are around us first.
Tell you what, here's a wonderful point. Wouldn't it be good that all the top 10 NGOs, Islamic NGOs, would make a division that the UK programme should go through National Zakat Foundation? That way, less marketing, less cost, more impact as well. Because I know for a fact food banks have really increased, and most of these food banks, why is people are in need as well. It's a sad state of affairs. So how can someone get involved? How can someone donate? How can someone find more about the organisation?
Look, our website is always open. Check us out. It's really important that you get to know. I think one of the things we all...
So what's the website?
The website is www.nzf.org.uk.
Cool.
And so I think two things. I think it's important that people understand not only what NZF does, but just what zakat is about. Zakat is one of those things that we do like once a year. we kind of forget about. But it's actually your central pillar of Islam. It's your third pillar of Islam. And so it's important that people get to try and understand them. What's this whole zakat thing about? Why is it a third pillar of Islam? And if they want to get involved in NZF, then, give us a call, drop us an email, get into my email address is open, rizwan@nzf.org.uk. If anyone wants to get in touch, please, we're open to it. And we really would like the community to continue to get behind us. Alhamdulillah, we've had a really good story so far. We want to continue that, we want to grow that. We want that community to really understand the needs of their brothers and sisters around them.
MashaAllah.
Jazakallah, thank you so much for taking the time and the effort, and also, explaining very clearly as well. Much appreciated as well. Well, for a quick break now, and when we will be back, we'll be speaking to a couple of other very talented individuals. So please do stay tuned. See you soon.